So we are back in the archives, and I'm joined by the wonderful Peter Tatchell. Now, Peter, introduce yourselves for those who may not know who you are and what you do, just before we begin.
I am Peter Tatchell. I am the director of the human rights organisation, Peter Tatchell Foundation. I've been campaigning for human rights, including the rights of LGBT plus people, for 55 years, and I'm still going strong.
For those who may not know, this year is the 50th anniversary of the first Pride in the UK. Now, talk to us about your involvement and your experience with the origins of that.
I was one of about 30 people who helped organise Britain's first ever Pride Parade, which took place in London on the 1st of July 1972. The idea of the march was to mark the anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising in New York in 1969, when gay patrons fought back against police harassment. We came up with the idea of Pride to counter the prevailing view, which was that we should be ashamed of who we were. When a group of about 30 of us came up with the idea of holding a gay pride parade in London back in 1972, we had no idea whether anybody would turn up. Back in those days, most LGBT plus people were in the closet. They would not dare show their face for fear of the negative hostile consequences. So we were incredibly surprised and delighted when about 700 people turned out for that march from Trafalgar Square to Hyde Park. It was a joyous carnival parade, but it was also a protest.
In 1999, the amazing portrait that the gallery collections have of you by Polly Borland. When I first saw it, because I know the work that you do, I couldn't work out if it was staged or if that was actually genuinely something that happened. Talk to me about that portrait, because it is incredibly evocative and speaks very much so to your character.
The Polly Borland photograph of me in the National Portrait Gallery collection was a reconstruction of my mugshot when I was arrested in London after attempting to arrest the Zimbabwean dictator Robert Mugabe. The phrase homosexual terrorist was added by Polly Borland in response to the use of that phrase by some tabloid journalists.
Right now, what do you think the message for Pride 2022 should be?
I think there is general concern within our community at the way in which Pride has been over-corporatized and over-commercialized, and indeed depoliticized. And the numbers are so tiny. Now there's a limit of only 30,000 people are allowed to march. Every year, thousands of people are turned away. That is so wrong. Pride is meant to be open to everyone, LGBT plus, and our straight friends and allies.
And thank you for joining us, because it's a momentous year that you played a huge part in. And it's important to hear a lot of the work that you do behind, the portrait and the photographic evidence that we see. It's great to hear the story behind the work, so thank you so much.
Thank you.